There are some of you who are called to use these spiritual technologies, okay, for healing of yourself and others. Yourself and others, okay? And you've initiated powerful esoteric systems, path workings, high magic, okay, yogic disciplines, whatever. And you may have been working with this for quite some time, okay? But you wake up in the morning, day over day, and you realize that all you have to show for it is a couple more gray hairs, a couple more wrinkles, complete disillusionment and ego death, and disillusionment with the practice itself. With the practice itself. And if you've gotten to this point, congratulations, because this is the point that we need to get to in order to enter a new level of our becoming, okay? Becoming a greater version of ourselves, okay? And I know how this is because I've worked with very focused yogic disciplines. In my 20s, I worked for 5 years, I practiced dhyana yoga, okay, a very powerful form of meditation, every day for 5 years. And then I moved to working with Amachi, the Hugging Saint. I was initiated into a mantra by her. I practiced a bunch of really focused yogic practices under her tutelage, under her guidance, okay? But in my 30s, I had to be really honest with myself and recognize that at an emotional level, deep in my heart, I wasn't living fully. I didn't have the capacity developed, okay? I'd done a lot of other growth, awakening, etc., but I didn't have, there was a certain depth that I didn't have, capacity for my own depths, okay? And I had to admit to myself on an emotional level, I was really just waiting to die. I was just coping with being alive at a deep emotional level, okay? I had to graduate to a new level, a new type of hunger, a new type of work, okay? I worked with not just the negative polarity, okay? Not just this movement of energy in and down, deep into the heart, the portal to our depths, okay, of power, moving this energy deep, deep, deep within, opening the emotional body, facing deep traumas that hadn't been healed yet, working with the trauma healing, the processing, the integration, etc. It wasn't just that. It was doing it in a way that worked with my design, and I work with human design. Okay, if you're familiar, it is everybody has like a unique design in their physical and subtle body that you can actually work with this to maximize the specific design that you've been born into. Okay. And this is how I've worked with this, is working with my design, okay? And working with the things that works for me and the ways this works for me. And this is why I have content, a ton of content in the membership for the Temple of Becoming paid members, okay? Tons of content on these practices. Think of like guided meditation plus gentle, easy to do Qigong, okay? There's a very effective way we can start to move this energy that not only helps to heal our own subtle and physical body, okay, with this type of negative polarity yoga, but also anybody who's in our radius, 1,000-foot give or take radius, will receive this same healing, whether they're conscious of it or not, okay? And this is a type of healing by subtraction. Healing by subtraction, okay, spiritual warriors? Removing the gunk, okay? We're removing the gunk, okay? And this type of alchemizing the gunk into alchemical gold, which we are called to do, okay? There's certain people that are listening to this, you're called to do this. If you know, you know, okay? We need to continue to work with this ongoingly, okay? We don't just stop. Why would we stop the yoga and the skilling up when we can simply become greater and greater? When we stop, it's so easy to slip into this lull of boredom. Boredom, okay, a lot of emotions can focus. I get really focused when I enter a lot of, especially like rage emotions or whatever, primal emotions. But boredom and tenderness and the the sort of ennui, okay, of existing that happens sometimes, very often actually, we can continue to work with this in more subtle levels, okay? The person who can sit with themselves and can sit with that type of almost like an emptiness, just an emptying of the mind, an emptying of distractions, that void state, okay, that pure beingness. The person who can really sit in that for longer and longer periods of time, that will only help you to integrate your power and to open the doorway to deeper levels of power and deeper levels of your potential, okay? It will. And the result of working with, number one, the negative polarity practices, which I teach a bunch of ways to do this in the Temple of Becoming, okay, how to work with this energy, moving the energy in and down for healing, okay, for healing, okay. It's not just healing, but also we can use it to create things, okay. We can use it to strengthen ourselves, okay, and to create things out of this, and to create positive karma, okay, really positive karma from this. I talk about this in the Temple, in the content for paid members, but I also, the access, okay, within the Temple, and also within the mentorship, okay, the paid mentorships for people who align with that, okay, at the time that they're ready to align with that. This allows me to work with you one-on-one, okay, much more customized, much more personalized to your specific human design, okay, your specific human design, to how you can maximize the gifts and the strengths of your human design, okay, in order to effectively work with this in a way that works best for you, okay, because it's not one size fit all. This is not a one size fit all path, okay, and the end result of working with this, and there are living teachers who are literally doing this, okay, and you might know a few already, actually. Let me know if you know anybody who's living in this type, they have this type of archetypal energy that they emanate, okay. This, you become like a living, it's almost like a, what's the name? There's this really powerful bodhisattva in Japanese and Chinese Buddhism that I recently learned about. His name is Kshitigarbha. Okay, Kshitigarbha, kind of a weird sounding name to the Western ear, but Kshitigarbha is known for his vow that he will not become a Buddha until the hell realms are empty. Okay, this is a dude who's real comfortable in the hell realms. Okay, he's real comfortable in the darkest places of suffering of the human condition. Okay, you need a human body in order to do this type of practice and achieve this type of mastery. You need a human body. It is a gift. It is a tool to be used. Okay? There are people who are called to do this. Becoming a living embodiment of this type of energy, becoming real comfortable in the hell realms, the person who is so comfortable, they have so much capacity that, and there's actually images, you should totally Google this if this strikes your fancy. You should Google Kshitigarbha. I'll put the name on the screen. Kshitigarbha in the hell realms. He's shown in a lot of paintings, like walking on these lotuses and stuff in the fires of hell, and there's just like tortured souls, like, you know, dying, and like one person will reach out their hand to him and he's just like grabbing their hand, you know, pulling them out of the flames and stuff. But that person, you know, that soul, they have to say yes to the help, okay? Because there's actually a lot of people on this planet, okay, in the human condition of suffering, in these kind of conditions. They're either not aware of it, or they're just choosing to stay in it because it's comfortable, it's familiar. And then there's some who are like, I'm ready to heal, I'm ready to do the work, I'm ready to grow, I'm ready to actually exit the enslavement to the hell realms, okay? and being able to be that person when the hand is outstretched to be able to grab onto them and pull them out and actually have the strength and the capacity to do that effectively. You have to have some kind of muscle, okay? Some kind of spiritual muscle, okay, built up. You have to be strong enough to exist in that type of place for a long period of time. And we start by doing that within our own inner hell realm, okay? Because everybody has a heaven and a hell inside them. And we're not meant to ignore one or the other, okay? We're not meant to ignore this. We're meant to travel wherever we wish. We are meant to travel wherever we wish, whenever we wish. And Kshitigarbha has that power. It's a siddhi, it's a spiritual power. I heard another story. I can't remember who I heard this from. It must have been an early teacher, probably Shiva Balayogi. Yeah, Shiva Balayogi. He used to tell this story. Any advanced yogi who reaches a certain level of mastery, yogic mastery, the gods, like the god Shiva, right, will come to them and say, like, what do you want? What powers do you want? You can have anything. Tell me what you want. And they have to give power. It's a little bit poetic, okay? But they have to give power to the yogi at a certain level. And the yogi can do with that power whatever she or he wishes. They could use it to do really corrupt things if they want. And the gods can't stop them because they're at the same level of the gods at that point, okay? And there are some advanced yogic masters who choose to use that in a very aligned way. And a lot of people will say, like, oh my God, they're a saint. They have no darkness in them or whatever. But the reality isn't that they have no darkness in them. It's that they've become so intimate with their own darkness and their own chaos and their own scars and their own pain and their own imperfections and flaws and corruption, and they've shown the light on that in themselves and just looked upon that in themselves with such compassion and such depth and such capacity to hold that they've actually transmuted it and been able to use it to enhance their capacity to just exist with themselves and everyone that comes into their presence, and actually be able to help the people who say yes to the help, okay, the people who say yes to the help, to actually move out of being enslaved to their own pain, okay, their own inner demons. We're not here to be slaves of our own pain and our own inner demons. We're here to be free and to use the powers how we wish, okay? And there's this collective that's that feels this, okay? If you feel this in your body, if you feel a yes in your body at some point with this, you may be one of these people who's called to skill up, okay? Power up this type of practice to become a greater version of who you are in this body that you have in this lifetime. In this body and this lifetime, okay? Just like the old saying goes, if not me, who? If not now, when? Do not wait. Do not sleep on this. This is the perfect time to practice tapas, to do tapas, okay? This is the perfect time to do tapas. The darker times that we live in, and I say this with a lot of compassion, we're living in a very dark time. The darker times that we live in, the more heavy, dark, dense energy in this matrix, and the more it's like for people like us, for spiritual warriors who are called to this, okay? It's like going into a gym and being like, all right, I'm going to lift these weights. I'm going to start with these light ones here. and I'll come back, 2 days, 3 days later, and I'm going to do these next ones here, and I'm just going to keep working up and working up and working up till I get to the heaviest weights, man, and I'm going to be built, like I'm going to be built, and I'm going to be ready for anything. I'm going to be able to throw off, okay, the weight. At that point, you're just like, oh, here you go, and you're just like, you got it on your pinky finger or whatever, your little finger, and you're just like lifting the weight up, and people are like, how are you doing that? How are you not totally taken down by the things in this world? How is your hope not destroyed? How is your heart not destroyed? And you're like, no. I like when I lift muscles, understand, here's the warrior speaking, the athlete, I lifted these weights and I did destroy my muscles over and over and over, and the fibers ripped each other with every rep, and then I rested and I healed and I felt and I cried. And I realized that I'd become stronger because I allowed myself to just exist and feel and rest properly and take this all the way into my heart as a part of myself. And I did destroy the things that I don't need, and I did destroy my own weakness and my own limitations and my own self-limiting beliefs and stories and my own little ego, limited ego, okay, that was like told me I couldn't do it, okay, and I just kept going. And if we just keep going day after day, week after week, month after month, okay, year over year, and we just keep going with the yoga, imagine what you could achieve in this lifetime with this body, with this astral body, okay, with this physical and subtle instrument that you're here to play in your way, not the way that anyone else is. Don't listen to anybody, if they're, you can't really do anything the exact same way as anybody else. You have to do it in your own flavor, your own design. That is the whole principle behind the temple of becoming you. Becoming the best version of you. Thank you.